We're joined now with the First Lady of Topeka and also the co-chair of the NOTO Arts District, Miss Anita Wolgast. How are you doing?
I'm good, and we're thrilled to have you out here live.
Absolutely, I'm glad to be here. That you guys have done some really spectacular work, and let's kind of take a little walking tour and kind of show off the place to our viewers.
I'll say goodbye.
Okay.
Thank you again.
Thank you, Hal.
Take care,
Good
guys.
job.
You
Thank
bet.
you.
So it is a beautiful day out here in Noto, and we're at one of the parts that kind of started it all. Tell us where we're at here.
Well, I have to say it was April of 2010. We stood right here in front of Bradley's Cafe. John Hunter's my co-chair, and I, after working a year on a plan for developing an arts district, and we called a press conference. And we thought maybe we'd have 10, 20 people. So we said, well, we'll feed you cinnamon rolls if you come. Well, we had like 80 people, community leaders, all surrounding this area, listening to the plan. So basically 3 years later, you see all the businesses here, which right now are closed because it's closing time. But nearly 25 have opened since we stood here on April of 2010.
Wow, it's just amazing to know, especially since I was an old Topeka Civic Theater brat when Topeka Civic Theater was in North Topeka. I spent a lot of my high school time driving through this area, waiting on trains up here to get across the tracks to get over there, and just to see this place today versus what it was back then is really an incredible transformation. So we've really done some good work. Good job.
Well, if you go back probably before you were born, this was a thriving business community, and we've been talking to people that give us a story of all the businesses along here. Ed Marling's was across the street, Hess Jewelers, these thriving businesses that were neighborly and having a good time being here. Call Valley Bank was Bradley's Cafe. Then the flood hit, and of 51, and we'll show you the water line in some of the buildings 2 heads above me. So they just had trouble recovering from that and gradually deteriorated. So yes, then the transformation back has just been phenomenal with the Arts District.
So right over across the street corner from Bradley's is the Eclective, and this is an iconic picture if you read the New York Times. Tell us all about that.
That was a fabulous surprise. It was about 2 years ago that we had a travel writer come through, and I walked the streets with her on a probably 110-degree day. It was so hot, and we didn't have a whole lot of businesses, but what she saw, she liked. And she said, I'll be back in touch. Well, I waited months, and then almost a year, and then I heard from her, and she said, well, I'm thinking of doing a story for the New York Times. She's a freelance writer. So we worked for 2 or 3 months, back and forth, getting information from everybody and making sure it was all totally accurate. Mm-hmm. So what ended up on the front page of the travel section in the New York Times in August of 2012 was the Eclective. And the bathtub, their iconic bathtub, was pictured there in the New York Times in color, along with Bradley's Cafe and several other businesses.
And it's certainly not the only time we've made the national media for Noto. I mean, Bing came here to do a commercial, Bing, Google, kind of all that thing, and they were right here in Noto, came to Topeka for that.
They were right down the street here. I had a call on a Thursday afternoon saying we're going to film on Friday morning. They just discovered us. They were going to be in another location, came to Bradley's Cafe for lunch and said, we want to film here. So they were across the street there in front of Roebuck's Jewelers and shot that commercial, and it's already been nationally televised.
Very cool. Well, let's keep moving on down toward the Art Center. So we've stopped right here at the Yeldarb Gallery. Of course, they're closed because we've come on a time we didn't want to, disrupt anything going on over here. But tell us a little bit about them.
You may have seen this story in the newspaper not long ago about recent retirees starting new businesses, and this is one of them. I think you talked earlier to another couple that started their new business. Chuck and Ruby Bradley had this vision to have an antique store and nice, beautiful gallery. And they took an old, dilapidated building and they put in what they thought they'd be open in 2 to 3 months. Well, it took them much longer because they did all the work themselves. It is one of the most beautiful galleries you've seen. the tin ceiling, the hardwood floors, what they've done to bring it back, absolutely beautiful. And then the work they carry is phenomenal.
When they originally built these things, they put so much character in, and then, go to the 60s, early 70s, they kind of came in and glued carpet down over everything, and then they put suspended ceilings in, and sometimes you can say at this point, going in and tearing all that stuff out and refinishing it is the best thing you can do.
No question about it. And the history that goes with this. In fact, the history with this is reflected with, they cut a window out so you could see the flood mud.
Oh, wow.
Because we keep talking, there's flood mud in the basement of all these buildings yet. So they are showing the actual flood mud in the back of their building with a window that the community could see.
Excellent.
But the history is phenomenal here.
Yeah, there's a lot you can just tell in the exteriors of the building as well as the interiors. So.
That's what really sold us, is this was the perfect place for an arts district. The facades of the buildings, you look at the sun shining on them, and they're just beautiful, like that. Looks like a crown down the street there. Just absolutely beautiful. So to bring this all back is just a real joy.
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. Well, we're on our path down to the Arts Center.
To the Arts Center.
So we've made our trek. We are down at the NOTO Community Arts Center. Tell us a little bit about this before we walk in.
Let me go back to when we announced this that day in April of 2010. Our superintendent of schools then was here. And he said the light bulb went off, and he said, we need to be associated here in the NOTO Arts District. And then he said he talked to Dr. Farley at Washburn and said, 501 is going to be involved here, and we need to have Washburn involved. So several months later, we had talked, and we formed a partnership with 501, with Washburn through the Mulvane Art Museum, and then with the NOTO Arts District. We each put in $10,000, and we rented a building across the street, and we renovated it with the help of Washburn Tech and some professionals, and we were so proud of that. And we had started classes in there for the public. Then this building became available for sale. We'd never dreamed of maybe owning a building.
And there's an old post office,
it's
right?
It's an old post office built in the 30s. Diamond Everly had it then, a roofing company, and they put it on the market because they were moving to another location. And it didn't sell, and we walked in and said, oh, this is made to be an art center. It just is made to be an art center, and we need to find some way to keep it for the district. And thank goodness for one of our major donors that had given us money to help with the other center. They ended up giving us the money to purchase the building.
Oh, wow.
They gave us the money to purchase the yes. They didn't want to own it. So we now, NOTO Arts District, owns the building.
I got to say, we've with our show done the Helping Hands Humane Society, and the community has come together and given them a lot of money. We did the Kansas Children's Discovery Center, and the community has come together and given them a lot of money. And now we're in the NOTO Arts District. The community's come together, given a lot of money, and especially their time, because they understand what's important in the city, and this is a community. I love Topeka.
You say that so well. It is so true. This is all private money that has made this happen, thanks to these generous donors. Most from here in Topeka, some from as far away as New York City.
Wow. Well, I'm excited. Let's go check it out inside. All right, so we're just inside the front door at the NOTO Arts Center here, and you wanted to show us something right at the very top here. It's right up here.
It's pretty phenomenal. If you see that brass marker up there, that is the 1951 high water mark of this building. So, we'd be way underwater here. It's just hard to imagine what this had to have been like in this district, and how do you recover from it?
Yeah.
Just tough times.
And these buildings were built so sturdy that the structures were okay?
Well, this was built, of course, by the U.S. government, being a post office. So nothing's going to happen to this building. Apparently, the other buildings the same way. They built them very sturdily, and the buildings survived.
This is a beautiful entryway here, and you kind of go in and you see a classroom.
We're going to turn this into a welcome center, this first area in here, and that will be a gallery over there where we'll be hanging artwork, art displays from different parts of the city and country, we anticipate as well. Then in the back where you see they're having their class now, we're going to have pull-down doors that form a corridor that will be a little gallery walk to show the work that's being done in the classes, and do that on First Friday art walks. Have that display.
So another stop, we wanted to stop here at Studio 831. Tell us the story about that.
Well, this one is so special to us because after our announcement in April of 2010 at Bradley's Cafe, by December of 2010, our first artist said, I'm going to sign my name, count me in. So that was Barbara Waterman Peters, a premier artist in our city and around the country.
I love Barbara Waterman Peters.
Oh, she's fabulous.
Yeah.
Everybody loves her, and I'm glad you're one of those too.
Absolutely.
So she now has, I believe, 6 or 7 other artists in with her, and they sublease from her. So she's a good businesswoman as well as a fabulous artist, and I just wanted to point that out. And of course, she's not here either. It's after hours right now.
That's right. We don't want to bug them. We want them to be able to do business. So we'll just get them some business. So y'all should come down here to NOTO and check it out. So NOTO is not only known for gallery spaces. We've got some really interesting event venues over here as well. Tell us a little bit about this place.
They can seat, I believe, up to 300. They have a bar in the back, and it's where the former French restaurant was, La Picardie. But they've totally transformed it. It's beautiful. It's busy. First Friday Art Walks, Jenny, the owner, will have $10 meals, box meals come in.
Oh, wow.
And it's fun. It's packed. You have to get a reservation or you miss out.
Well, here at the Arts Center, I think this is just such a wonderful facility. They've got this awesome safe back here. So I have to say, for my next illusion, I shall escape from this safe. No, I'm just kidding. I would like to check it out in here if that's all. Is that possible? This is quite an interesting thing here. Does the door work?
Oh, well, let's try it.
I don't know if we ought to try this. We better not.
You don't think so?
Well, no,
Let's try it.
Hello? Hey, guys? This isn't funny.